Story 1. I feel that I should preface by saying I'm not the typical type to ask the internet for advice on such a personal issue or any issue, but the unfortunate thing I've come to realize is that I can't discuss this with anyone I know. I'm in my late 60 seconds and my son is in his late 40 seconds. For relevant my context, his mother and I divorced when he was young, and for all intents and purposes I essentially raised him as a single father from a certain point onward. I did my best to raise him well, and to be sure he had everything he needed, but I worked a lot of hours and was very career-focused. I realize now I was somewhat absent. I'm also fairly emotionally reserved in general, at least when it comes to physically speaking. I'm better at writing. When he was in high school and in college he had several girlfriends, and one girl I thought he was very serious about for the majority of his time during his undergraduate education. They broke up. After that, he never brought home any more girls or talked about any, and he moved away to attend medical school, and we stopped talking as much as we had previously. I remember very distinctly one time while he was visiting on a break from school I was worried about him, and I had asked if he was on drugs. He just looked physically ill and in a poor state. He assured me it was stress from school, and he would be fine. But I remember this clearly because this visit home was when I first started to think he could be gay. Now the thing is, my son has never told me that he is gay even to this day, but it has become an unspoken acknowledgement between us. He has a roommate, that's how we mutually refer to him, and he's had the same friend for a long time. Sometimes I will ask about him, but the answers are always short, basically that he's doing well. I think I know maybe 5 things about his friend after some almost 20 years, maybe longer. We speak on the phone occasionally as we live far away, and this is something we never discuss much if at all. Recently I've been doing a lot of thinking. I think I'm a poor father. Somewhere down the line I taught my son that we can't speak about who he is. I'll admit I'm not the most versed in this kind of lifestyle thing, but I don't want to be shut out from his life. I want to tell him that whatever this is, he's perfectly fine in my book and I love him. I want to know him and his friend, but I don't know how to tell him or what to say. I'm not sure if I should say boyfriend, as again, he's never said anything to me about being gay. I've just pieced it together over time, so I'm not sure if that's what I should say. Should I just spontaneously bring this up with him? There never seems to be a good time to say what I'm thinking, and the topic seems too serious to send an email or very long text message. I'm not sure if a written mode of communication would be too informal or make it seem that I don't care. At that, I'm not sure where we should go from there. Story 2. I'm thankful for all of the kind advice I received in regard to my first message here. After reading all of your words, I decided I would handwrite my son a letter and send it in the mail as we live across the country. In summary, I wrote about many things and the letter ended up being much longer than anticipated. I began by discussing some of my experiences with my father growing up in ways I realized I had treated my son similarly. I had wanted to do better than my father, who had moments where he could be cruel, but I failed to realize that being too reserved was also a problem, and I leaned too far in that direction. After his mother left, I was depressed and I didn't deal with that as well as I should have. I apologized for being absent at work and for being emotionally unavailable at times when he would have needed me the most. I mentioned I'd like to change that in the future, but it's still something that's hard for me to do, and I understand he may need his own space. Then I wrote about how even though I probably don't show it well, I do love him with my entire being. There's nothing he could do or be that can change that, and I'm proud of him for many things. I wrote that by extension I love whoever he loves, and his chosen family is family to me as well. All said and done, the letter was several pages long. Then I mailed it, and it was incredibly hard to wait. I decided to text him to let him know I had sent him a letter, as we don't typically write, and it seemed like something that warranted some warning in advance of its arrival so he wouldn't be entirely caught off guard by it. Eventually he sent me a text that he would like to call me at the end of the day. We spoke about everything in the letter. I learned that he had believed I viewed him as a burden, which was disheartening to me, as I had always wanted to be a father since I was young, and I never saw him as being a burden, which I told him. We discussed his mother and the plethora of feelings surrounding her. This was a hard topic for me, as I still have many unresolved feelings here, but I realized because of this I never explained to him everything that happened. I also learned that he was afraid to disappoint me, and that he had put a lot of effort into his career to make me proud of him, as he felt this was the way to impress me and that it would make up for his defects. I brought up that focusing on work over family and interpersonal relationships was one of my bigger regrets, and he admitted that being so career-driven was straining his personal life. With everything going on at the moment, he also expressed that the medical profession was weighing on him, but he hadn't wanted to disappoint me by not being as emotionally strong as he thought I am. By this point in the conversation, we had both said a lot of very emotional things. He brought up that he felt it was hard to talk to me because I don't make it clear what I'm thinking, and so he felt it was always easier to only discuss work or accomplishments with me and nothing personal. He felt it was easier to let his relationship be an unspoken understanding between us, as he felt I would be uncomfortable to know anything more. At this point, I confirmed that his friend is in fact his partner. He said he felt a lot of shame about it. I told him I regretted not reaching out to him sooner, that I'm sorry that my lack of availability had created this distance between us, and that I am always proud of him and not just for his career. We ended the conversation by discussing seeing each other in person, as it has been almost 10 years since we've actually seen each other. I expressed that I would like to fly out to visit him and his partner if he would feel comfortable. We are all fully COVID vaccinated. I now have a plane ticket for early next month, a date which is quickly approaching. I am glad for all of the encouragement I received from this website. I have nothing but gratitude for all of your kind words. Once again, I am asking for a little advice. I have never met his partner in person, nor have I ever spoken to him. He has been with my son for 2 decades at this point and likely knows him better than I do. I would like to make a good impression with him. However, I don't know any gay couples aside from them, and as was thankfully pointed out in my previous post here, I am not aware of all the proper ways to describe things, as I incorrectly used the term lifestyle. I would like to be invited into their lives, so I wish to avoid offending either of them. Are there any suggestions of common things I should avoid saying to them? Perhaps I'm just nervous because this is coming up soon and I haven't seen my son in so long. Typing some of this out was helpful in and of itself. Story 3. My husband and I have been together 15 years and married for 11. He's a physician in the US, which, as most everyone knows, comes with a hefty price tag. We got married right out of undergrad in the summer before he started medical school. I had to change which master's program I was going to last minute, but I was able to get in and get a job and was able to support the both of us with this job that I loved while he finished med school. When he graduated, he got a residency in another state and barely even consulted me about it before he applied and interviewed and decided. I put it behind me and packed up and moved with him, and was luckily able to find another job that was better salary-wise. But I hated and was able to fully support us both while he was able to put all of the money he made in residency towards his student loans. After he finished, I was able to get a different job that's better than I ever could have dreamed of, and got a major promotion near the end of 2018. Since January 2019, my husband has been pushing for us to start trying for a baby. He also doesn't want strangers raising his children, so he doesn't want to put them in daycare or have a nanny when we have them. We also don't have any family close by, nor do we have any friends that would be able to take on that responsibility. He also doesn't want to quit his job or go down to part-time in his job to take care of said kids, but he expects me to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm not ready for a baby right now. I'm not ready to sideline my career and leave my dream job that I have worked my ass off for. I told him as much, which resulted in a fight where he told me that I should leave my job because his is more important than mine, since he saves lives every day, and I don't, and ultimately most people could do my job with a little bit of common sense, whereas his is way more than just sitting at a desk all day, which I don't even do. When the subject of kids came up years ago, he said no because he wasn't ready and wanted to finish his education. Despite what I wanted, I accepted it and moved on because I understood where he was coming from and respected his feelings. When I brought this up, he said I was throwing it in his face and making him feel guilty for wanting to pursue his dreams. I had to walk away because I was so furious and hurt by what he said. And since that fight, I've been thinking about it over and over and have found myself thinking things I probably shouldn't, and wanting to bring up how my unimportant career supported his ass while he accomplished his dreams, but he didn't complain about how unimportant it was then. I supported him mentally, emotionally, and physically too. And if he was up at home studying, I was up helping him study. I made sure his clothes were clean and that he ate and slept and was comfortable when he came home after he had a long day, despite me also having a long day. I dealt with my father passing away on my own because he was unavailable due to his training. I gave up my dream program, my original dream job, the place I loved and wanted to live forever, and my desire to have kids so that he could accomplish his goals. I was depressed and miserable for years at a job I didn't like, in a city that I hated because it meant he was able to get what he wanted in life. I know you're not supposed to do things with the intention of being paid back or keeping score, but I did all of those things because I love my husband and expected that, at the very least, he would respect me and my career and be understanding and supportive of my wants and needs like I have been with him since the moment we got married. It just seems like I'm the only one sacrificing and being selfless in our marriage. And not only that, but my job is important. I may not be an MD or saving lives in the moment, but I am making a significant difference and change in the lives of my patients and helping improve their quality of life and leading them to be healthier overall. And work alongside several physicians who have recognized the positive impact I've had on the lives of many people, yet the one who matters most to me doesn't recognize or believe this, and it hurts like hell. Honestly, I'm mad and hurt right now, but I know that if the resentment fully sets in, it'll be the worst case scenario. How do I stop this from happening, and how do I stop feeling this way towards my husband? Story 4. I first just want to say thank you to everyone who commented and posted on the last post. There were a lot of great responses that really made me think and helped me make my decision. I did a lot of thinking, and I realized that I've been very unhappy with my husband for a long time, but held on because I was hopeful about the person he would become after everything was over, and I was hopeful about what we could be as a married couple, and I kept making excuses about his behavior and how he treated me because I loved him and felt that that's what a wife was supposed to do, even if it came at my expense. For over 11 years, before I even made the original post, he was incredibly dismissive, and whenever we'd be in the same room, he'd make a joke out of me being upset at the situation as usual, and would ask if I was over it yet, or say little irritating things that just showed that he didn't take the issue or me seriously, and just expected me to hop on board with being a stay-at-home mom and quitting my job completely. After I made the post, I really thought about it and still wanted to leave, even after days of weighing my options, and the pros of leaving way outweighed the cons, and I honestly felt relieved when I thought about not having to be married to him or come home to him and have to be his wife. I decided to wait until Friday to talk to him because I wanted to be able to leave for a few days, and I didn't want him to blame me should something happen to one of his patients after we talked. To make this very long story somewhat short, it did not go well at all. I told him, very calmly, that what he said about his job being more important than mine was a shitty thing to say, and instantly he downplayed it and fake apologized that telling the truth made me feel bad about myself. I tried to remain level-headed and discuss the rest of everything, and it just overall did not go well. He also accused me of being selfish and unsupportive of his dreams, and when I brought up everything I did for him, he told me it was nothing special since that's what I was supposed to do. And when I asked where were the things he was supposed to do as a husband, he said his being a doctor was his contribution to me somehow, and that I should be thankful that he's giving us a great life. A lie. After that, it got really heated, and I told him I wasn't happy and haven't been for a long time, and that I wasn't even gonna consider having kids with him unless he got his own serious therapy. And we went to couples counseling and were good for a while. He scoffed at the idea and said he didn't need therapy, and just couldn't believe that I was unhappy when he's given me everything I could want. A complete lie. And since he was completely unwilling to go to any type of counseling or therapy, I told him I wanted a divorce, which made him irate, but he later said he could find tons of women who would want to be married to and have babies by a doctor, and that they'd be a better mother and wife anyways. I'm going to let him go find that other unfortunate woman to have his babies because I'm done with him and honestly cannot wait to just be away from him. I've been at my mom's for a day now and he's been calling, but I just want this to be over. I'm sick of being miserable and will begin the process first thing tomorrow. So, yeah,